peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Today, thousands and thousands of Africans and many countries in Africa have conflicts. Notably, from Libya, Cameroon, Nigeria, Biafra, and Boko Haram, to Democratic Republic of Congo, of where we have seen a resurgence of the past military and conflicts coming back in that country. Hundreds and hundreds of people have been displaced, killed, maimed, tortured, raped, several of them dying of hunger, starvation, and other natural causes. The fighting seems not to be ending. For the sake of Libya, the Libyan recognized international government is under siege in Tripoli from another faction recognized by Egypt, France, UAE, and other countries. Whereas the one in Tripoli is recognized by the UN, it has been bombarded, has been strangulated, and many millions of Libyans are dying of hunger, lack of water. The water system has been cut off. The bombardment goes on. In Democratic Republic of Congo, we've seen more of active rebel activities returning to the region after some silence has been observed. When we come to Cameroon, we see millions and millions of Amazonians slaughtered. Yet, when you come to Biafra, again millions and hundreds of millions and millions are worried, displaced, tortured by the Buhari regime. Yet again in the north, we see Boko Haram killing, maiming, abducting, and burning down villages in the same Nigeria. When you cross over to Central African Republic, the same is the history that has littered Africa. While all these events are taking shape, Africa is silent. Africa is not making enough efforts to find a solution to what is causing the problems in Libya, in DRC, in Cameroon, in Nigeria, Biafra, and now you add in Khartoum, Sudan. As people die, the people of Africa have no answers, have no solutions. There is nothing to bring an end to the conflicts that have killed Africa. We seem to be new ones manufactured, old ones reignited, encouragement coming from external powers. One power that has been seen in the shadows of all these conflicts, especially the one of Libya that has escalated in the Sahara region of Africa, is France. When you come to Democratic Republic of Congo, the same country is in the shadows. The war can be seen is France. When you come to Cameroon, in Amazonia, the one behind that has the key to bringing peace is France. Therefore, our question as Africans, why are we silent? Why are we not saying enough is enough of the wars? Thank you.
General and the President of the General Assembly for co-organizing this event with Rwandans and for the important statements we have just heard. Remembrance is an act of honor. More than 1 million lives were lost. We honor the victims. We honor the courage of the survivors. And we honor the manner in which Rwandans have come together to rebuild our nation. We honor and thank you all those who have been with Rwanda through these hard times. Remembrance is also an act of prevention. When genocide is dormant, it takes the form of denial and trivialization. Denial is an ideological foundation of genocide. Countering denial is essential for breaking the cycle and preventing any recurrence. In that spirit, the General Assembly voted overwhelmingly last year to adopt the proper terminology, genocide against the Tutsi. I thank member states most sincerely for this measure. Such a clarification should not have been necessary, given the irrefutable proof and historical facts of what happened in Rwanda. But the efforts to rewrite history are relentless and increasingly mainstream. The victims of genocide are targeted because of who they are, a distinction fundamental to the definition of genocide itself, both morally and legally. This does not in any way diminish the memory of others who died. Remembrance also serves to help spur the change for the better. There are encouraging signs that lessons are slowly being learned and institutionalized. It helps that we have something to build on. In 1994, 3 representatives on the United Nations Security Council consistently called for action despite the resistance of more powerful states. They were Ibrahim Gambari of Nigeria, Colin Keating of New Zealand, and Karol Kovanda of the Czech Republic. The Genocide Convention is now 70 years old. Of the 149 states party, nearly 1/4 accessed after April 1994. France, Italy, Luxembourg, Poland, and Switzerland have criminalized denial of the genocide against the Tutsi, and Belgium has announced its intention to do so. Canada and France have designated April 7th as a day of commemoration. We applaud these steps and encourage others to follow suit. Perhaps the most significant advances relate to peacekeeping. With the strong support of the Secretary General and member states, civilian protection has moved to the heart of peacekeeping doctrines. I commend the member states that have already adopted the Kigali Principles on the protection of civilians.
Action. Good morning, viewers. Welcome to Punchline Africa television, broadcasting all the way from the political command center of Punchline Africa television, miles away from the headquarters in Nairobi. This morning, in a Good Morning Show, wherever you are in Africa, wherever you are in Europe, wherever you are in Paris, in France, in Russia, China, in Southern America, you have woken up to the news this morning of the arrest yesterday of one of the most wanted men as far as genocide that took place in Rwanda was concerned. Mr. Kabuga, a Rwandese national, a Hutu extremist, was arrested in Paris on 16th of May 2020, the year of our Lord. This is a diplomatic show. It calls itself diplomatic leaks. We go behind the enemy lines to find out what really took long for the world to bring to justice Mr. Felicien Kabuga. Mr. Kabuga, in 1994, a welfare businessman, according to the documents obtained from the ICTR, that is International Tribunal on Rwanda in Arusha, was a wealthy businessman, the president of National Defense Fund of Rwanda, and a close ally, a friend of President Juvenal Habyarimana. Habyarimana, an army officer himself, and the second president of Rwanda, ruled single-handedly after he seized the power in 1973 in a military coup in Rwanda until 1994, when his plane was shot down while returning from a peace mission in Tanzania. Under Habyarimana's rule, political and financial power in Rwanda was consolidated within the tight circle, the core of which was the Hutu, and is extended to the family of the president. Mr. Kabuga was a prominent member of this group. Two of his daughters were married to the sons of President Habyarimana. Remember, in Africa, we have no problem with the daughters or sons marrying. We don't touch them. We don't do anything. Because those are children. And I would like to emphasize the point of reconciliation. The Rwanda genocide took shape in the watchful eye of the international community. I have never forgiven one person on this question of the genocide in Rwanda. I've forgiven, I can keep quiet, but I'll never keep quiet about the way the United Nations Security Council watched helplessly as Rwandese were being killed, as Tutsi were being murdered, tortured, slaughtered, when Kofi Annan, by then the head of the United Nations peacekeeping force, looked to the other side and allowed the slaughter of the Tutsi and the moderate Hutus. History will never change, and we shall not bury history because Kofi Annan has died. We shall still remember and recall and make points and references to the way Mr. Dr. Kofi Annan handled the Rwanda issue. Mr. Kofi Annan, a moderate, a man from Ghana, presided over the massacre of the people of Rwanda. Mr. Kofi Annan, together with the French operatives, remember Rwanda was colonized, taken over first, changed hands, but the French remained the dominant people, a power that controls Rwanda and Bujumbura, which is Burundi. When we grew up in our country, Uganda, it was called the Archbishop of Rwanda, Burundi, and the Boga Zaire. The late Archbishop Luum. All of those, that was the kingdom of the Anglican Church that spread around the Great Lakes region. Any expert of Great Lakes region history will understand that there is that domination of the Tutsi Empire that came all the way from Durban in Natal through all up Nyasaland, Tanzania, part of it, entered around that area, 2 parts of Uganda. It is very important to understand the historical links that have made us a united one Africa, an Africa that has links with the other Africa, another Africa with another one. I like the way River Zambezi flows from Atlantic and delivers the water in the Indian Ocean. I like the way the River Nile leads, carries all the water from Africa and delivers it in the Mediterranean Sea. But the events on the continent itself bring us to worry about what happens to our countries. Is Africa the problem to itself? Or there are foreign powers that have made Africa not workable? That's the question today. Could Kabuga have run for 26 years and the one superpower in the world told us that they finally found him somewhere in Paris? Do you believe the story? I will come to that later on. I'm one of the few people who have condemned Kofi Annan that one day when we meet, wherever he has gone earlier, I would stand firm to challenge his activities as the Secretary General of the United Nations. Before and after, with the period that Kofi Annan was the Secretary General of the United Nations, many things happened in the world that remain there. But who was the main power behind the Kofi Annan operations in the UN? The answer is France. The French supported, equipped, supplied, orchestrated, bankrolled Kofi Annan Foundation after he left the United Nations. The French have seen and overlooked the massacres that are taking place in Amazonia today. Is Amazonia not a French territory? Cameroon not a French territory? Yes. The presence of the Cameroon of France in Cameroon can tell you how the French operate in Africa. They deal with the leaders and they deal with the leaders, but they don't mind about the people. The French don't mind about the people. They don't mind how people suffer. The genocide in Rwanda would have not taken place had Kofi Annan taken a firm decision by the UN to make sure that he separates the warring parties. I will bring this to the point that people will understand why Rwanda has been having bad blood between Rwanda and France for a long time, and it caused us a proxy war. There is a proxy war in East Africa, and the people don't want to accept it. The quarrel between Uganda and Museveni and Kagame, Kagame and South Africa, Kagame and Tanzania, Kagame and Nkurunziza is a result of the French policy in this continent. If the Africans who fear to say it have said it, we have lived with Rwandese for a long time. They are our brothers. We have no problem with them. They have been given asylum, everywhere. Dr. Milton Obote brought all of them into Uganda. I hope they remember that one day, to give his name to in their hearts. President Museveni accommodated all of them. I believe they remember. They are our brothers. We have no problem with them. But the problem we have with is the colonizer. The colony. The colonizer, not the colony. Those who colonized us, colonized us, continue to pull strings behind this Rwanda. When the President Kagame took over power in Rwanda, he was not welcome. He was told he should not take over power. People should isolate him. Luckily enough, President Kagame did very well and managed to secure a better Rwanda today. Comrade, I give you congratulations. The Rwanda of an example of Africa. An example of Africa rising from the ashes to deliver itself to the international community. Yeah. Thank you, Comrade Kagame. Thank you, ye, for the policy of reconciliation. Thank you, ye, for the policy of Kachacha courts. Thank you, ye, for forgiving those who massacred the people, allowed them to come back, sit together with other people, and we produced a better Rwanda today. Without losing the point of Kabuga, who kept Kabuga all this time? I will not go to details because I might become one of the technical team. My senior lawyer in the world has taken up the case. The only lawyer in this world who won one case. Who won one case out of Rwanda in Arusha. So I might be part of the team that could be technical. You know very well I hate tribunals. I hate ICC. My dislike for International Criminal Court is the same dislike of Kofi Annan, Ocampo, and George Soros. I stand on the principle that these agencies were not created for giving Africa justice. They were created as a milking machine and giving money to Kofi Annan Foundation to continue with its extension, the French extension on the African continent and holding the African continent at a ransom. If you look at all the cases that have been taken to the French, to the ICC, France has taken 3/4 of the cases in the International Criminal Court. Apart from Uganda and Sudan, the rest of the countries that are in International Criminal Court are from the French-speaking nations. DRC Congo, Burundi, Central African Republic, Côte d'Ivoire. Look at those countries. These countries are in the International Criminal Court as a result of the bad policies of the French foreign hegemony that has destabilized this continent of Africa. The Africans who fear to talk about DRC Congo from the inception of the killing of Patrice Lumumba to today, Africa has no peace in DRC Congo. Today, DRC Congo is an experiment of the French foreign policy, where they tell the African Union never to go and witness the swearing-in ceremony of President Tshisekedi. Yet the African Union has qualified the election as free and fair with our taxpayers' money. Today, in Central African Republic, the French continue to carry to airlift people to dump them in the ICC. Yet they are the ones digging the diamonds, the gold, all these minerals that are in Central African Republic. After the departure, the death of Bokassa, Jean Bokassa, the French took over Central African Republic, made it their bedroom, and it has stayed there. They collected the diamonds, they collected the minerals. They have taken all leaders of Central African Republic, including Bemba, who went to help the president, and they never indicted the president. But they indicted Bemba, delivered him in The Hague, stayed there until he won his case. Today, in Côte d'Ivoire, Babugo was delivered to ICC in the hands of the Ocampo and the Besoda for slaughter. Ouattara was spared. That's the French selection of justice. Today, Gaddafi's son Said Gaddafi is still on the roll call of the International Criminal Court to be detained because the French want to detain him in the interest of the oil that they take out with General Khalifa Haftar. They massacred Libya. They killed Libya. They killed Gaddafi. They threw bombs on Gaddafi. They destroyed one of the African countries that was so peaceful that today God cannot forgive those who killed Libya. That Libya became a begging bowl of Africa, a bloodbath of ISIS, Al-Qaeda, mercenaries who are spreading the Sahara region, in Mali, in Cote d'Ivoire, in Burkina Faso, in Boko Haram, as a result of bad French policy. Today, we see in Sudan the confusion that you see between Sudan, in Sudan, South Sudan, why we cannot decide is oil, total oil. I'm bringing this background so that I hammer back at the point of Kabuga, where mercantile capitalism overstood, became a denominator in selecting international justice against certain people in the world. Today, Kabuga could not have sat in a flat in Paris without the knowledge of the French. But because, and I repeat, the government of Rwanda has suffered so much, has suffered sanctions, has suffered torment. So many Rwandese officials have been arrested in Paris, in London, in Washington, in Spain, everywhere. They have been arrested. And Africans hear this today. Whether President Museveni, whether Kagame, whether President Uhuru Kenyatta, whether AU, whether Mnangagwa, hear me. These courts are created for you. They take you. They want to take you because you don't have your own courts. You believe in courts that have been made in The Hague than believing in courts that an African should be tried in Tanzania and sentenced. After seeing what they have done, after seeing isolation of Rwanda, demonization of Rwanda administration, trying to break up Rwanda, trying to destroy Kagame. After failure to do so, finally they wake up and they say, Kabuga is here. It is only students who have never studied international law, international relations, who can talk, who can listen to you. But in me, I said it a long time ago. In 2010, I told my audience on television that Kabuga is not here. Kabuga is linked to Kofi Annan. The movement of Kofi Annan, facilitation of Kofi Annan, for Kabuga to run under UN and pretend that the UN is looking for Kabuga. It's a mystery. It's not a mystery to me. I saw one Professor Makau Mutua of Kenya writing, and the same Professor Makau Mutua used to write so many condemning the Kenya government for hiding this man. This man was not here. This man had already been taken, I told you long time ago. As long as Kofi Annan existed, Mr. Kabuga knew the coordinates of how UN failed to operate in Rwanda. Mr. Kabuga knew how UN facilitated the killing of the Hutu, the Tutsi in Rwanda. Mr. Kabuga knew who gave the money for the slaughter of the Tutsi. Mr. Kabuga knew who were the commanders who looked that side when the Rwandese were dying. Therefore, the only way to do it is to keep him until he's 84. Then you don't charge him. Where will you take him? Where will you take him at that age? Where will you take him? They have done what they have done. They have milked out the mercantile part of it. They have delivered themselves what they want benefited. They disrupted Rwanda. They disrupted Kagame's regime several times. But we lost millions and millions of Africans. I want to bring this motion to the people of the world. I want to bring this to the doorsteps of people of Africa. Those who want to take power, those who fight for power, those who want to bring violence on this continent, that is how they will take you. Remember, they will incite you, they will give you the money. The UN will look. Kofi Annan presided over the massacre. You can't change history. Because if you go to the genocide, you must mention Kofi Annan. What was the role of UN in Rwanda? It has never cleaned itself. Never have they apologized to the people of Rwanda. When Kofi Annan took over as Secretary General of the United Nations, he never even took Rwanda. He wanted to isolate the government of Rwanda. At the beginning, I just want to thank President Kagame. There's one thing you have done, brother. There's one thing you have done which you must teach the lesson to other younger generations. You are my age mate. We are in the same age bracket, or slightly I'm older. But there is one thing you have done for Africa. At times you take a stand that benefits your people. Kofi Annan never liked you to stay in power. He wanted you overthrown, taken away. The confusion was all surrounding this Kabuga. Now, after me seeing that there was no way they could topple Kagame, they finally came out with Mr. Kabuga. Africans fear to tell the truth. I'm none of them. I speak like a Nkrumah. I speak like a Nyerere, Obote, Jomo Kenyatta, Sekou Toure, Gabriel Nas, Amir Cabral, Samara Machel, Patrice Lumumba, Stephen Biko. We stand for the truth. Amazonia is boiling. Millions of Amazonians are being killed. Millions of people are dying in Cameroon. Millions of people have been running for 4 years without food in Cameroon. And here we are. Here we are. We live with the enemy. The war in Mozambique, if you look in it, you will find the traces of the same enemy. The way the Somali thing is going, who are paying for these guys in the ICJ, the same person, South Sudan, who looked for oil and did not find Total oil. AU is gone. Mohamed Faki is working with the French. They have bought an organization called African Union. If you go to Libya, you find Libya is bleeding. Who created the problem in Libya? Under Resolution 1970 of the United Nations Security Council, dropped bombs on Libya. Why didn't we eliminate Gaddafi and leave Libya alone? Where are Africans? Why are we here? Why have we killed Libya and killed the leader, killed the people? We are now slaughtering them. What can we do to change this course. What implications for Mr. Kabuga arrest? History must track itself. Even those who have died, like Kofi Annan, must be charged alongside Kabuga. When we mention this case in the International Court of Rwanda, where it is, we must also cite Kofi Annan. Some of us will file motions that the role of UN must be so that in the future, UN does not run away from responsibility like the peacekeeping forces that ran away from responsibility and killed 1 million Rwandese, perished. We need to put the record straight to the world body. A commission of inquiry must come into place where the reports of the commission of inquiry on the genocide from UN point of view, where the reports of Ocampo mishandling the ICC, putting false evidence on people killing their names in Africa. Where are those reports, UN? You are the line manager of International Criminal Court. Where are those reports? Where have you put the report condemning Mr. Ocampo for having falsely taken Thomas Lubanga, falsely taken Babuko, falsely taken Bemba, falsely taken Ruto, falsely taken Uhuru Kenyatta, and the 6 others, falsely on false information? Where are those reports? Let the UN give me the reports. When the UN give me the conduct, where is the conduct of this? What happened to this report? Where was Kabuga? Where did he hide? Who was keeping him? I wanted the report. I might not be there to read it, but let the world read it. It gives us an example of international double standards, double hypocrisy, hypocrisy of the highest nature that has killed Africa. It is for this that I stand to condemn the African way of behavior. When Rwanda was bleeding, few Africans watched it bleed. Today, Amazonia is bleeding in Cameroon. No single African, no single head of state in Africa is pointing a finger at President Paul Biya for the slaughter of English-speaking Amazonians. Today, the people of Biafra are bleeding. No single African head of state, like Nyerere, Obote, Kaunda, condemned General Yakubu Gowon for the slaughter of Biafrans and recognized Biafra. Remember, the conference that brought peace in Biafra was held in my country, Uganda, in 1967. We have a history of defying international community. We have a history of saying, yes, we shall go out and support the right vision of liberation of Africa. We have a history of giving our country platforms for fighting against apartheid. But today we have failed to give a pointing finger at President Paul Biya, at the French,
A very good
Everybody here.
Yes.
They were looking for him. Looking for him where? This man in this country. Do you know how many people in East Africa have been tortured? Do you know how many people have been in prison? Do you know how many people have been assassinated because they thought it was Kabuga? But one superpower under Kofi Annan managed to support, equip, hide this man. Don't tell me UN did not know that Mr. Kabuga had gone. What's the use of Kofi Annan Foundation? Joining me now online from Kampala is none other than joining me in the studio of Punchline Africa Television is Miriam Ogutu. I've done my bit. And joining me from Kampala is Stephen Wandera Ouma, a veteran journalist who must have written a lot of stories when he was a journalist with the Monitor and the newspapers in Uganda. Good morning, Mr. Wandera Ouma from Uganda.
Good morning, Dr.
Thank you very much. You are joined in the studio of Punchline Africa by Miriam Ogutu and myself in the political command center of Punchline Africa Television, miles away from the headquarters, the UN in Kampala. Good morning. Ouma, are you there?
Yes, I'm there, Doctor, I'm there.
Okay, the ball is in your court, sir. Felicien Kabuga arrested. The rise, fall, and arrest. I know you ran so many stories in the Daily Monitor about this same gentleman. You ran so many stories about the genocide in Rwanda. It occurred when you are one of the editors of the Daily Nation that time. Can you please narrate in few words what you saw, what you know, how Africa can prevent another genocide in the future?
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Doctor, from Nairobi. It is quite an impressive step for the arrest of Kabuga, because the people of Rwanda and East Africa in general, whom we consider to be one people, have been looking for justice. And as the saying goes, justice denied, justice delayed is justice denied. So there's Kabuga is a welcome venture, and I was checking online, especially with my colleagues in Rwanda. Many of them were very happy that the main suspect of the Rwanda genocide, who put in money and resources, has been arrested. But the question which is still in the domain is why Kabuga has been arrested after 2.5 decades of hiding. Some were claiming that maybe some French officials who could have been hiding Kabuga,
Yes.
were being paid some money.
Yes.
But now since the gentleman was now going broke, he couldn't have any other money to pay. That's why they had to let him go. But all that faith and heart, we still wait for a thorough investigation from the French government to tell us how Kabuga could hide for all this long in a modern country like France, whereby all the services and transactions are digitalized.
Yes.
How could Kabuga hide his identity? A very prominent person who is wanted by the whole world. This is a bit strange, and it's an area where the French government has to investigate and inform the world. Otherwise, this Kabuga's arrest have been following the media. Most of the media have been reporting that this is a big fish which is going to console the people of Rwanda, especially at this time when they are facing the effects of COVID. I personally, I feel like people like Kabuga should actually be taken back at the scene of crime. They should be taken back to their countries to be tried locally, because the local person should really feel justice being dispensed, should come out and testify before Kabuga and face him face to face. And I believe he could even get a more harsher punishment in Rwanda other than at the Hague, whereby they might just give him some maybe life sentence in prison for about 25 years and to walk free. But there are those who are these people whom he killed, and for whom he financed, we have to face the machete. These people's lives are gone, and if possible, he should also have to face the same sentence of being hanged if at all he's found guilty by the court. Now, what lessons do we get from Kabuga's arrest?
Just Oma, hold it there. Let me pick that. Hold your reasons. Let me pick from Miriam. Miriam in the studio. Just Oma, hold. What lessons? That is where you are. What lessons do we learn from the arrest of the rise, the fall of Kabuga? What happened? Hold your fire. Let me come to the studios in Nairobi. Miriam, your views, so that finally you make final presentation and parting shots on the reasons. What does Africa learn? Miriam, from your perspective as a Kenyan, you grew up here hearing the name Kabuga, Kabuga, Kabuga. Until Kabuga became, in fact, some people named the Kabuga children here in Kenya, because accusations were leveled on Kenyan government. But if you look at the way Wandera Ouma has said from Kampala, it is how a country like France can tell us that it didn't know. But I've explained as you were listening, the situation under UN, who was keeping this cover until now, Miriam.
Thank you so much there, Doctor, and also, sorry, Mr. Ouma joining us from Uganda. I think this goes a long way in explaining a lot of these international conspiracies and how countries and their interest, how they act when it comes to some cases here in Africa, because I'm sure from all this time, Mr. Kabuga has been on the run now over 25 years. And of course, you've mentioned Kenya. Yeah, his name was very synonymous here, and we used to wonder, who is this Kabuga growing up? And we know he was being sought out for by the the Rwandese government, and then later on we hear he left, and then he was abroad there. It was not very clear which country. So now he was just arrested over the weekend by France. What really baffles me, and really, and I think the rest of the world, is how is it, France, the way it is very technological savvy, and all these years Mr. Kabuga has been there, and they never knew that Mr. Kabuga is there. And then to also very interesting to add to that is that both his daughters, I think, live there in France. Did they not? Because if you are a daughter of Mr. Kabuga, a person who is highly sought after and a person who was very influential there in Rwanda, judging from his history and how he is known to be the funders of the genocide in the 1994 genocide there in Rwanda, then you are renowned, even if you're not out there in public, you're not very active in the public. But if you're staying in a country like France, surely the authorities there in France know that you are the daughter of Felicien Kabuga, the much sought after a person who funded the genocide there in Rwanda. So for France to come here and give us this wonderful news on Saturday that finally they arrested Kabuga, can they tell us how is it that Kabuga has been living in France and they did not know that Kabuga was actually living there? I think I need a lot of convincing from the French government. So I think they need to tell us. Is there something that we don't know?
Miriam and Ouma. Ouma, you are on the line?
Yes, I'm there, Doctor.
You have heard what Miriam has said.
Unfortunately, Miriam's line is always having an echo. I don't always speak her clearly.
Okay, fine. I'll repeat, summarize what he said. She said, surely, equally like an African, like me, we are puzzled that the daughters lived in Paris. And then no French official could trace near the daughters that the man, the father could be near there. And then all of a sudden, they came up on Saturday and they gave us news that finally we are producing. Do you think you also believe in the story?
No, obviously, I can't believe that.
So go ahead, what are the lessons?
Yeah, if I can just begin from there, I was saying, what are the lessons we can learn from Kabuga's arrest? Before I go into the exact real lessons, okay, let me go first from there. You find that there are African leaders, especially Africans, or leaders who are dictatorial, they tend to commit crimes against humanity. And they think they can do away with it. They can hide. They can go to any safe haven. And they do not face the law. Kabuga, he has taken 25 years. He has been brought to book. He is now 84 years old, assuming that he gets even a sentence of let's say 15 years more. It means the fellow is going to die in jail, which is most likely going to happen. So leaders should understand that if they are leading the masses, they should do it at the will of the people. They should not go against the will of the people, committing atrocities. Commit the atrocities and know that it will catch up with you, even if as long as it is 2,000 years or whatever it is, you will face the law. Just look at what's happening in Libya. Shells falling on apartments of civilians by Hamas. In DRC Congo here, people are being massacred day and night. Somalia, bombs are being exploded on innocent people in hospitals. In Southern Sudan here. And these are all leaders who are seeing these things happen. And I think they don't get any results. But if I can just point it, Doctor, if you try to relate it to the current scenario what we have now, of course, just look at it. There are some leaders who are confusing science and leading the masses at the risk of dying. Just in our neighborhood here, President Magufuli took it for so long to recognize that as a problem. And people are dying. In Brazil, people are dying. This is as well equivalent to genocide. Many people will die at the mercy of you being in town. So whatever it takes, if I can take the conclusion short, lead the people, but know that you should lead them at their interest, not at your private interest. If you commit atrocities, they will come back to you. Over to you, Doctor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stephen Ouma, right from the Republic of Uganda in Kampala. COVID-19, before you go, it's not related to Kabuga. Kabuga is at least safe now in the hands of custody. And in custody, you know, they are looking after prisoners very well. So France should not even tell us a funny story. Just tell us, in Kampala, General Museveni seemed to have controlled the whole entire this COVID thing very nicely. What is he doing that other African heads of state can learn from?
Basically, when the president realized that there was a problem, he had to do three things according to him. One, he had to identify what was the problem. Two, make sure that the problem does not spread. And three, the problem that spread should be brought into control by containing it. So what did he do? The first thing he did was to close all public places. Schools were closed, mosques were closed, including the markets. The markets which were allowed to operate, there was some social distancing. Two, and watched over a period of time. When they saw that they were not positive, or those who were positive were treated and let go. But now the problem has still remained with the truck drivers, which the president has been insisting that if we close the borders for the truck drivers, which are bringing essential commodities, the economy, the country will collapse, because we need many medicine, we need at least all taxes to run the government. But we find that these truck drivers are bringing in more infections. As I talked of yesterday, Uganda registered 105 new COVID cases confirmed out of 298 samples of truck drivers. This brings the total COVID cases in Uganda to 332 in Uganda. If I can just split it down, out of these 105 new cases, 30 were Ugandans, 20 were Kenyans who entered the country from Elebu, Southern Sudan. Then 50 were Tanzanians, and 1 was a Ugandan entering the country from Mutukula, Tanzania border. Then 4 were Kenyans entering Uganda from Malaba. So these are still a challenge. And as we talk today, the president is supposed to be addressing the country on what next, because the extension lockdown ends today, and there was some hope that maybe he could open up some areas to go back to work. There was a cabinet meeting which started yesterday. Though haven't got official communication from the meeting, but they were recommending, I hear that some recommendations that people who can afford to go to work can go and work, but public transport, schools, mosques, and other public gatherings will still remain closed. And they encourage people to wear masks and social distancing. So basically, that's what the government has done to control the COVID.
Yes.
The only thing which has brought up some public argument was the National Task Force recommended that not to private companies that employees contribute 10,000 shillings of that salary.
For what?
To raise.
For what now again?
The 10,000 shillings.
No. People are ready. Mr. Ouma, let's speak like Ugandans and Africans. Miriam, Ouma, people are already under stress. How do you tell employees? How do you ask for money from people who are already stressed? Some of them are not even feeding. People have paid school fees for their children to go to school. The children have been brought back. Now you want to ask money from who? Is it Rukunda doing this? I'm going to call him and tell him, Rukunda, that is not very good. Is this office under Rukunda?
Yes, actually, the letter was written from Rukunda's office.
No. Mr. President, don't allow this to happen.
Okay, if I can just finish that submission, just like 1 or 2 lines.
Yes.
They claim that COVID had a budget of 370 billion shillings.
So what? Then the government look for it. Don't even read those things now. you know you have now charged in my head. You mean Ugandans are being told to pay when they are already in trouble? No country in the world is telling employees to pay. Who is Mr. Rugunda? What is he working for?
That is what has brought controversy in the public, and people are.
You see, there is already controversy here in me. Those are the things that I wouldn't like to accept. How does a Ugandan who is not working, how does he is at home? His employee cuts his money. The schools are going to open tomorrow or the other day. The headmasters will want money, a fresh amount of money equivalent to the one you paid. Jermaine, you know, if God has chosen that this COVID takes us, maybe let there be a new generation. And I'm beginning to surrender myself to that value.
You're surrendering yourself to COVID. So I didn't get what Mr. Ouma is saying. He's saying the government is asking the citizens to contribute to what?
No, the employees.
The employees to contribute to what?
Like you now, in this company,
yes.
I ask you, as my employee,
yes.
please bring the money, 10,000.
We take it to the COVID kitty.
Cut 10. How?
Then we have a problem. That will be a problem for people who. Yes.
If President Uhuru Kenyatta brought that thing here now.
Oh no.
Kenya would be. People would not even want to hear his name.
Kenyans will protest. Absolutely.
Let the President Uhuru Kenyatta, no, President Museveni hear this. He listens these days. He has done very well on COVID-19.
Doctor, can you fill in a bit on that one?
Yes.
They were claiming that they had a budget of 370 billion shillings. Government managed to get 200 billion shillings from its coffers. So there's a deficit of about 170 billion. But so far they have collected 15 billion in cash and 13 billion in kind. So there's still a deficit. Now, of recent, when the president was addressing COVID meetings, he surrendered his salary, 1.4 billion shillings, every month to be put to the COVID fund until this scenario is brought into control. The task force, which is mobilizing this, the members have also given in 1 billion shillings each. Members of parliament, most of them have also contributed. They are saying that since the president has kickstarted the process and is the head civil servant, other civil servants will follow, and the private sector also helps them follow, so that they can raise the deficit of about 170 billion shillings to the work.
You know what?
And doctor, even just adding to that, Uganda had by end of last week received about $600 million from various lenders to deal with COVID-19 disruption, including $491.5 million loan from the International Monetary Fund. So it's not like the government of Uganda does not have any money. Already it has some money in its kitty to deal with COVID-19. So even that, I think that moved by what now we are hearing from Ouma there, and now the civil society in Uganda is coming out and demanding for transparency in these monies that is being given to the government. Now we hear the government wants more money from the people.
Miriam, thank you very much for that breakdown. 600 million from international donors, World Bank, and other money. So many people have contributed. Let the president come in this evening. We shall be watching his speech. I hope he touches this. This thing of getting people again suffer. They are suffering. People are suffering already. People are not working. They are at home. Their children have come back home. Now, if you take 10,000 again from each person, they should have just said, whoever has some money, contribute. Like Kenya here. Kenya has said, whoever has money, take it to that lady with the chairperson of the committee.
And in fact, and to make it very easier for Kenyans, even there's been a tax relief for Kenyans who are earning 24,000 and below from the government. They're saying, you know what, for now, get the whole of your salary because we know you need it. So that is what we expect from a government. And now the government of Uganda wants to instead take more from the citizens there, who are in much need of the money, the same amount there.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ouma.
You're welcome, Doctor.
Thank you very much, our correspondent in Kampala, Stephen Ouma, and back. Thank you. We see you again late tonight at 8 p.m. or see you tomorrow, depending on how you take the president's speech. Get every detail, you tell us tomorrow. Thank you very much for your suggestions on Kabuga and his arrest. I hope Africa will take your advice. I can see somebody saying that the guy in Uganda has given solid advice on Kabuga. Yes, Kabuga is safe. We are here with COVID-19.
Yes.
We are still here with masks. In prison, you won't have masks. It's free. So, thank you very much.
And
Viewers, thank you. Let me come back to Miriam in the studio. Miriam,
yes, indeed. And
summary.
yes, yes. And I was listening to you, Doctor, just giving a background information about Kabuga, and so that the world can really understand who this person is. And it's very interesting when you read the history of Rwanda and see even a year before, preceding the genocide that happened in 1994. It is reported that sometimes in 1993, over 500,000 machetes were already imported into Rwanda. So people have been wondering maybe the death of President Habyarimana could have been the cause of the genocide, but apparently Mr. Kabuga and co had been planning the massacres even a year before that happened. So, the assassination of President Habyarimana was just, I think, something that just ticked the whole country, but there had been plans. It is said that he had already imported from January 1993 to March 1994 a total of 500,000 machetes were imported in Rwanda, statistically one for every 3 adults Hutus in the country. So that it had already been happening before the assassination of President Habyarimana there. And of course, Kabuga was very close to President Habyarimana. In fact, 2 of his daughters are married to 2 of the former president's, sons. So that explains the very close relationship. So this also goes to just you wonder, the relationship between President Habyarimana. Did he know about the impending, assassinations that were going to take place? Because the number of, machetes that had been imported into Rwanda, even prior to the genocide, so they were actually preparing for bloodbath. And that's why Mr. Kabuga now has to answer certain charges. And he was on 29th August 1998, the prosecutor of the United Nations International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda, Carla Del Ponte, indicted Kabuga in the amended indictment dated 1st October 2004. Prosecutor Hassan Jallow charged Kabuga with conspiracy to commit genocide, or alternatively, complicity in genocide, direct and public incitement to commit genocide, extermination as a crime against humanity. So we see all of that. So if you see how much of those machetes were imported even prior to the genocide, some bloodbath was, being planned there. So very interesting there. And of course, when the plane of the President Habyarimana was shot near Kigali International Airport, he was together with Burundi's president, also doctor, who died in that assassination, Cyprien Ntaryamira, I think, there. And that perhaps explains the frosty relationship between Burundi and Rwanda till date. We wonder why, because they seems to be the same people, but they don't really agree so much in that, a lot. So Mr. Kabuga right now is in the hands of, authorities, but still, French cannot convince us that they did not know this man was in the country for as long as he was there. They need to tell us, how long has Kabuga been in France, first of all? We need to know that.
Yes.
Yes.
And can they compensate? Can they compensate for all the people they killed on the way looking for Kabuga? Have you left that out? Compensate for the people. There was a journalist, Muhune, here, was killed.
Yes.
Another army man was killed.
Yes.
So many people have been killed. Can the French compensate?
Collateral damage. We need compensation.
Yes. Because we didn't know. People did not know. But there is a point that as we end and move to the next topic, Miriam, the bottom line is Kofi Annan. They knew a man from Switzerland was sent away. He came back to DRC Congo. Who was facilitating his movement? In Switzerland, where was he staying? You know that Kofi Annan has a house in Switzerland. The only person who knew who was left in absence of Habyarimana, who knew all the secrets of Interahamwe was Kabuga. Therefore, it could not come as a surprise.
Yes.
It could not come as a surprise that Kofi Annan, as the Secretary General of the United Nations, did not know that Kabuga existed somewhere. No, I will not be convinced until maybe we meet again where he has gone. Then we ask each other. The bottom line of this topic here is how France can be double-edged when presiding over genocide and pretending to stop genocide. The case is very clear, the Rwanda situation, and now the Libyan situation, and now the Cameroonian situation. Can't you see? Can't France call Mr. Paul Biya and tell him, stop what you are doing? It can. Is it doing it? No. My final remarks. My final remarks. I'm reading some comment here.
Yes.
Which is making me very happy. Someone is asking me to ask the uncle to donate somehow. My uncle, Nairobi is not accessible. But I will organize with Miriam such that we can organize that hub to come to the studios. So thank you very much. The seriousness of this matter. What lessons, what impact, what do we learn from this scandal of Kabuga? One, we don't have trusted former colonial masters. Two, never should we allow again such a thing to happen in Africa. The genocide that took place in Rwanda should never happen to any other country in Africa. Three, we want to thank President Paul Kagame for the reconciliatory move you have taken, the route to reconcile the Hutu and the Tutsi who are living together in one country. Thank you very much, comrade, for what you have done. Four, we want to ask the UN, when they appoint their institutions like ICC, ICJ, and ICTR, all these always give us exit report. There is no exit report on genocide in Rwanda by the UN. I've looked through it. It's work behind to see when there was a report, a commission of inquiry, what happened to the troops who were in Rwanda who failed to stop the genocide. I haven't seen one. Kofi Annan went with it in the grave. So thank you very much. Just as he went with the report of food for oil in Iraq, let him rest it in with it. Let this thing never come to Africa again. Let Africans shun violence. Let Africans speak out against violence when other states are being attacked, like Biafra and Cameroon and Amazonia. Thank you very much. This diplomatic leaks returns again tomorrow. Coming next up after 2 minutes or 3 minutes is nothing but, you know what we call? The dispatches.
And doctor, I'm a bearer of very shocking news. I would like for you to to join me during the diaspora
I
dispatches.
am here.
Yes, because
I'm not going away.
I have some new information from Somalia,
Oh!
concerning the oil blocks. So some breaking news for you. So stay right there.
I told people they don't listen to me. Oh, Somalia is one of the examples that Africa must take. French are there again. You know that. They are already Total Oil. Hey, by the way, Miriam, before I leave, let the people in Africa learn this. Whenever you see Total Oil or Qatar, behind the Qatar, do you know who is behind the Qatar? United States of America and France. When the Qatar comes to say we want oil, they don't have even a machine to dig it. It's the Total Oil under a license that digs the oil in Qatar. Not that security from today. So when Qatar is in Somalia, it is the French. Don't think it is Qatar. If you didn't know that security today. Thank you. I want to hear this news.
All right.
Therefore, I take my tea or I take relax my bones.
Just relax your bones.
Or we continue right now.
Maybe
I don't know.
Maybe we could.
The girl is still alive.
20 minutes past 12. Maybe we could just continue to 1. I don't know.
Yes, let's go on.
Let's just go. All right. So let me just look for that. For diaspora dispatches right here. And of course, Madagascar announced its first death from COVID-19, but the patient is said to have had pre-existing conditions there. He was diabetic and also a high blood pressure there. And so let me just go straight to this Somalia news. So, all right, it's here. So Somalia has officially opened the first round of bidding for oil exploration, even as critics charged there were insufficient law to manage the program. The country's Ministry of Petroleum and Mineral Resources said the program, known as the licensing round, re-announced offshore will target 7 blocks with the most potential for hydrocarbons. The blocks are scattered in Galmudug State, Hari Shabelle, Southwest, and Jubaland. Officials argued that the bidding will be run under the Somali petroleum law as well as petroleum sharing agreements. The process will be transparent and take for 1 year, said Mohammed Abdi Kadir Hilal, Somali's Deputy Minister of Petroleum and Mineral Resources. This week, the ministry gathered up to 130 international investors for a virtual meeting where they were told of the potential of the oil stock. Somali has about 50 offshore oil blocks running along its 3,000-kilometer coastline. Open bids this week, however, so some critics question its timing. So Somalia there, I don't know if the disputed 15 blocks of oil is part of these blocks that are being up for auctioning, but you really can't tell.
Miriam, thank you very much for the news. When I heard that, because I have ear to ground in the ICJ. I monitor everything, every movement, every payment that takes place in that office. I checked with the Kenyan authorities and I checked with the map of Kenya. I found out, because I wanted to file a complaint, if they were selling or putting them on market, the same oil blocks that were contesting each other on, or they were contesting each other with Kenya. But I discovered that those oil blocks in the Indian Ocean, Miriam, are not the ones. Mm-hmm. So that one, I give a credit. They are not the ones. Mm-hmm. But you see, we have a very bad man in Somalia. One man called the Prime Minister, that small man there, seated there, the Norwegian guy. That Norwegian guy will bring a big war in this region. He's the man behind all this push for oil sale. All of this, because he's covering a case that we want him in London. He's wanted in United Kingdom for so many things that he has done with Soma Oil Company. So don't worry about that. Just as the wheel moves slowly, it will catch. It will catch. When you see Qatar anywhere, you have seen France. When you see France, Qatar is following. So now they have even that guy there. That's one of the worst characters that ever Africa has ever had. And believe me or not, talk about the oil, the ICJ, breaking news, which I want to give you from this side.
Very well.
The government of Jubaland, has supported. This is very interesting. What? The president of Jubaland in Somalia supports Kenya on the question of the maritime blocks. Hey, have you seen the new development? The president of Jubaland, in a letter dated 16th May, wrote to the international community and to the International Court of Justice, supporting the government of Kenya on the question of the oil blocks. That is now the news is here. It has just come from there. My guides have sent me. This letter is already in the ICJ. So I told you that the battle is not yet over until it is finished. So thank you very much, the president of Jubaland. This is a part of Somalia. That's what it has done.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Thank you, Miriam.
All right.
So that's some of the news.
Yes.
That tomorrow, in this morning, it makes it very good for me.
Yes.
From morning down to 12.
Yes.
Is it 12 or 1? I don't know.
It's around 12. It's around 12:25. And Doctor, some news from South Africa. The South African Army has begun to build 4 field hospitals as the country prepares for the devastating impact of COVID-19. The independent online website has reported the Army, which ordered all its staff back to work on 1st of May, is also planning to convert 2010 Soccer World Cup stadiums into countrywide field hospitals after being warned to expect the worst. What is happening in South Africa, Doctor? I'm really worried about the situation in that country. I know our numbers here are also going up, but South Africa, I thought President Cyril Ramaphosa was in complete control of what is happening in that country in relations to the COVID-19 spreading there. But as it appears, the numbers continue surging, and now the hospitals have run out of place, and now they have to make makeshift hospitals there as they prepare for a more devastating impact. What message should this send to the rest of the African countries?
There's more chaos. You're asking about the message. The message is chaos, ma'am. Mm-hmm. If we don't prepare here, have you seen what is there? We better prepare here, isn't it? Mm-hmm. If we don't prepare, things could be worse. And when you hear Mutahi Kagwe and the president telling you, please, let's concentrate on this thing. Let's do it. Let's wash our hands. Let's keep a distance. In South Africa now, is a total confusion, Miriam. Mm-hmm. You don't know the left, the center, the stomach, the head, the heart. Watu wanakufa huko. Watu wanakohoa huko. South Africa, you can hear the cough from 10,000 feet above sea level. Mm-hmm. Inanuka. Mm-hmm. People there, I have friends.
But what could be the problem?
Because this disease, COVID-19, because starting from Wednesday, we shall specialize the first hour on COVID-19. Mm-hmm. The impact, what we can help sensitize the people. Our new program will be around there. Read the numbers of COVID-19, Miriam, let me tell you, my sister, that disease comes for, if you have not been hit now, it means you don't have age. Ndio nataka mimi nizungumze wazi. If you have AIDS, inakuja upesi.
Because your immunity is already compromised.
Inaingia. Kama iko mambo ngine, inaingia. So it follows. Mr. Mbeki said there was no disease called AIDS. That South Africans do what they want. We can heal it. Mr. Mbeki is behaving like Mr. Magufuli is behaving like Mbeki. And Zuma. For Zuma, it was real. He said he had even sexual interaction with the lady, but he just got out and went to the bathroom and went home. Now, why it is hitting South Africa so hard is there have been so a huge number of people with, on this, what are they called?
ARVs.
ARVs, is it ARVs?
ARVs, antiretroviral.
ARVs.
Yes.
There are more people who have been taking those tablets, mingi namna hivi, every morning. So, of course now, you have nowhere to hide. So it has come. Some of them had even forgotten about the tablets, about the ARVs. They didn't do it. So that's why you can see. Apart from South Africa, the thing also has come deep up in the north, in Cairo. Because Cairo, Egypt is Cairo, and the Cairo is Egypt. 90% of the people in Cairo of Egypt live in Cairo. The city is so crowded. Miriam, you cannot drive through Cairo. If you want to walk, just walk on a motorbike or a scooter. But you cannot drive in Cairo when you are going to work in the morning. So Somalia is crowded. It was built with smaller streets. You see Mombasa now? It is the same old Mombasa, Majengo.
Old town.
The streets are narrow, some small town. If you go to where it is concentrating, Durban, in South Africa, the highest numbers are coming from Durban, Port Elizabeth, Cape Town. Johannesburg is spared a bit. So you look at those things, it is very bad. But it tells us we must have a preparation. Prepare for
the worst. So South Africa there is preparing for worse by building makeshift hospitals, and very interesting because President Cyril Ramaphosa, eased some lockdown, measures there, but he's saying he told South Africans to prepare for the worst as infections continue to rise, and he eased some of these measures. South Africa has confirmed a record high number of coronavirus cases in a single day. That was yesterday. For 1,160 people. That is yesterday alone, bringing the total number to 15,515, including 7,006 recoveries, 264 deaths, and these numbers perhaps right now have changed. So South Africa there, something to worry the rest of the continent, and perhaps some lessons there we can borrow for some of us whose numbers are still worrying, but not that much. I mean, we could borrow and use it as something to study and see what is it they're doing that is wrong, that we can learn and try to do better. And of course, we continue to pray for those who are continuing with their treatments and for the families that have been affected, and we wish them a quick recovery. And we go to Zimbabwe, where Zimbabwe's Home Affairs Minister has ordered an investigation into the alleged abduction of an opposition member of parliament and youth leaders. Movement for Democratic Change, Member of Parliament Johan Mamombe and youth leaders Cecilia Chimbiri and Netsai Marov said they were arrested last week while demonstrating over the government's COVID-19 response. The three women said they were tortured and sexually assaulted by people they suspect were state agents, although the government has denied the allegations. Initial media reports say they were being held at police station, quoted a police spokesperson who has since recanted his statement and accused the media of misquoting him. So the Minister for Home Affairs there has ordered for a thorough investigation, Doctor, and this is something we talked about yesterday. The opposition, the three women who were allegedly abducted, and they were found somewhere beside a road. I don't know why these abductions of Zimbabwe, they normally take the same nature. People are abducted and then they're found, half conscious by the roadside. I don't understand. Yeah.
Miriam,
yes,
it's very good you invited me to your show.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure.
Let me sit up in this special shot.
Very well. Go right on.
Africa, we don't listen. Africa, we are bewitched. I have been in Zimbabwe 4. This year twice, last year twice. President Mnangagwa is my best friend. A man who will not allow me to be harmed. Friend number one, I did not buy friendship. He liked my views on Africa. In 1998, when I stood up against Tony Blair in Brighton and said, no, you have done a very bad thing to isolate Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe, and let this be a takeaway. Miriam, let this be a takeaway. A small takeaway for our show. Or let me finish your answer first, then do a takeaway. In 1998, I stood firm, protested against Tony Blair. I was the only single man, black, in the hall. When I looked behind, I had 15,000 people on their feet for my statement I made in the Labour Party conference in the United Kingdom. I told Tony Blair that one day, Mr. Prime Minister, you will remember these words, that you don't disintegrate Zimbabwe, don't isolate Zimbabwe, don't put Zimbabwe on sanction list. My Labour government that I've voted for since I landed in Britain in 1987, I'm a Labour member of Croydon Central Constituency, a delegate on the National Delegates Conference. I was going to win a seat, the first black African from Mount Elgon to go to the House of Commons. Forget about the Jamaicans who are in there. They are black, but they are Jamaican. But this was the only product. A free constituency had been given to Matanga. Don't underrate me. Oh. Don't. Miriam, you are sitting with a lion here. I want the admiration of the Wazungu. They selected me as a delegate to the conference of Labour Party with my Ugandan accent. I arrived there. Go here. I delivered the message. When I saw Tony Blair recently, this President Uhuru Kenyatta, I found him in one of the hotels in town. He said, how are you? You put on weight. I said, yes, I put on weight. But I did not want to remind him about because one of the things you don't do when a guest is in your house, don't remind him about what he refused to give you. You went to his house and they said the beer was finished. When you go to look for water in the fridge, you find the beer is loaded there. There are some people who are very selfish. And they budget very well their beer, so you can't touch it. Some men are like that, William, though. I am not like that. I'm very nice heart. So, Zimbabwe should listen to us who have been struggling for them. I have told you that story of kidnapped people is fake. Do you know the group that kidnaps those people? Do you know the group? Can I tell you?
Mm-hmm.
Can I tell you the group?
Yes.
It is called Vanguard Africa. Vanguard Africa of Jeffrey Smith is the group responsible. It has trained paramilitary people in Mozambique. I don't know why people in it. I really don't know why. Why is Zimbabwe intelligence here? Oh, this man is useless. Where is this Moyo? Don't you see that some of these things? Mr. Moyo, the director of intelligence of Zimbabwe, where are you? Why don't you see what I'm talking about? Vanguard Africa has trained paramilitary. They have paid people. They have been training Zimbabweans in Botswana and Mozambique to overthrow Mnangagwa. The same group is involved in the activities that you see across the border in the Beira trial. And if we are not careful, we have a problem, Houston. They will come and abduct policemen. They will come and abduct the MDC themselves, beat them, kill them. This is growing into an insurgency. And the area Mnangagwa wakes up with his director of intelligence to listen to us outside here. Mr. S.B.S.K. Moyo, director of CIO, listen to Matanga outside here. Stop your ignorance. There is a force growing slowly, which is going to take you down. Can you tell me that there is nobody where you can trace where the telephone of these MPs were? No, you tell me. In the name of God, tell me. With this technology of Econet, you can't trace where they are. Where were their phones? They were found with their phones. You can't trace where they are. Whoever is doing this to Zimbabwe is trying to blacklist Zimbabwe, to blackmail the government of Emerson Mnangagwa so that it collapses. They get a preferred candidate who will take over Mnangagwa. And that preferred candidate is none other than the one I know who has been going around the world, who is damaging the name of the people of that government of Mnangagwa. So if they don't wake up and smell the coffee, there are people there acting as very dangerous people.
All right.
Fake. You know MDC is also divided into
two parties.
How many?
Right now.
Two how many? Miriam telling me, I am here. The Vanguard group is a branch of Vanguard Africa. MDC has got a militant group called Vanguard. This man called Jeffrey Smith, he came to Kenya during the Raila Odinga elections year, 2017. I cited him. We got him out of Kenya. Look at my eyes. Tulimutoa. This mafia is a mercenary. If you see him near your country, arrest him. And the Zimbabweans just go on playing with this man here. Today, even you know this man, when you want to give them advice, they don't want. They block you. Unfortunately for me, they can't block me because I'm a friend of the president. What will you do? What will you do? I have his number. I'll call him. I'll tell him what you have not told him. Truth war, and that's how I've managed them. Yes, and he doesn't tell me if he sees my number. He has never said I am busy. No, he will even cancel that meeting because I know I am not asking him for money. Look at me. I've never asked him for a penny. I stand by these guys. I stand by this country. We erred on this country. Mama is here. We erred on this country. How Tony Blair erred on Zimbabwe. Everything is here. Here. So tell me I'm telling a lie? They will, if they don't act on that group, it is the same group causing problems in Beira, in Mutare, up in the Beira Triangle, Ruvuma Triangle. The Tanzanians have moved in the troops to flash them. The terrorists have come from the Indian Ocean through Sofara. Get them! Get them! Zimbabweans are battle-hardened soldiers. Send your elite groups to wipe these boys out. Wipe them before they grow up. You know what? I'm fed up with Africa. I'm fed up. Maybe I'm sorry, I'm going. I'm fed up. This Africa makes me annoyed. Why don't you just bust these fellows? Send in elite commando units across Mozambique. Flash these boys before they arrive Harare airport. Before they kill people in Harare. I was born once, and I will go down once, like a Patrice Lumumba. But I will not keep hypocrisy in my stomach. This big one. I rather vomit it.
Doctor, yes. Before you get completely fed up, right now we see that they moved to Burundi, and we see that the African Union and the United Nations have raised concern about clashes in Burundi between rival supporters during campaigns ahead of next Wednesday's election. They have appealed to all sides to refrain from acts of violence and urged the security forces to ensure it's a fair election. Human rights groups say close to 150 opposition members have been arrested since Burundi's election campaign began 3 weeks ago. President Felicien Kabuga is not running for re-election, but is expected to remain politically powerful after the government approved legislation that gives him the title of the paramount leader after he steps down. So President Felicien Kabuga is not going anywhere. Maybe he'll be able to move around the world, but he'll have the title eternally, the paramount leader of Burundi.
Have you seen now?
And Doctor, you know what? I'm with you on being fed up. Some things like this.
You know what? Have you seen now that the paramount leader of what?
Of Burundi, eternally paramount leader. What, Burundi has a what? A monarchy or what? What is a paramount leader? Is this a new position they're creating, and it's not even in Burundi's constitution? Why can't he just go and just go enjoy his retirement?
Media.
Or our leaders don't really do that.
I want to tell the world listening to me tonight, this morning, and a very good morning in America.
And it's afternoon here, quarter to one.
Those people in Australia, tonight, Africa has a problem, and that problem is linked to France. France is the one that brings us every dirty things that we see on this continent. Why Nkurunziza is calling himself paramount leader? He has the backing of what? France.
Okay.
Soon you will see the Burundi army crossed over to Ngoma, across to take part of the Congo, DRC Congo.
Burundi has been blamed.
Because what does the Burundi army go in Congo to do? You know what they got to do? Dig more diamonds, pick it in Bujumbura,
The paramount
airlift the members.
The paramount
in
leader
Tupac.
has been officiating over that.
So
Paramount leader.
the problem we have is the area we isolate. And I repeat, the area we isolate, these guys who are killing people in Amazonia, the Cameroonians are dying and the French are drilling oil. The area we isolate, the problem is with us here. You remember when they refused to dig the lap set? Then they jumped quickly, they went to Tanzania, Tanga, that they would dig the railway from Tanga to Mwanza. Then they jumped very quickly. They said they would dig a railway from Dar es Salaam, Mtwara, Ruvuma, up to northern. You know, people criticize Uhuru Kenyatta for a train to nowhere. But the one of Ruvuma to nowhere. Because Ruvuma, the northern part is here. Where are you taking the train? Kumbe, the French. One of the things you must give French credit. When they came to Kenya, while the British were preaching us religion, Mulinya Katonda no mwana no moyo mtukufu. Amina, amina, amina. Oh, the Luo were saying, oh, Nyasaye, Nasaye. This one, the French were busy doing geological mapping of Africa. The French are the only people who knew there was oil in Lake Turkana, around Baringo, the Capedo Triangle. The French are the only one who knew there is oil in the Indian Ocean near the Somali territory. I swear, the other British who are not hungry, for them they wanted a land to grow their flowers. You know, flowers in Britain are very good. You can see when President Uhuru Kenyatta sent some flowers to Britain, the thing has cooled down. The numbers are not having keve. Flower, yeah, Kenya, you smell it, you are all right.
So the flowers brought reprieve there.
Exactly. The French were measuring geological.
We're mapping.
Why French? Why do you know why French want to hit Zimbabwe? You know? They know they are the only people, the best people with geological equipment in the whole world. They know there is oil in Zimbabwe, a huge oil in reserves in Zimbabwe. They know it. Do you know the biggest oil reserve in the whole Africa? Where do you find it? Zimbabwe. There is a reserve here which can hold the oil for the whole Africa. If it runs dry, if you have filled that one, you can supply Kenya, can supply all countries. They built it in Zimbabwe. They know where the thing is. So we are not yet out of the woods. Miriam,
and
that's
this
why
thing,
you see
yes,
in Bujumbura.
yes, in Bujumbura. So while of course, the government approved legislation that gives him the title of the paramount, leader, President Nkurunziza, after he leaves power after these elections that are coming up on Wednesday. But could this be a ploy, perhaps, to just appease him, to agree for him to leave? Because I know it took a lot of, convincing. And then maybe after that, has he not seen what has happened in Botswana, what has happened in Angola? The next government might turn against him. Could this be a ploy? Because who will put him a paramount leader? Well, the parliament did.
Let me ask you to leave and go where? To go where?
His person might turn against him. Has he not seen what happened in Botswana or Angola or elsewhere in the world?
That's why he's not leaving it. That's why the title paramount
Chief.
Mutu ya mwisho. Paramount leader, the last one. You cannot make a decision about Burundi
without him.
Without consult.
So he will be like the supreme leader of Iran, Ayatollah.
Yes, Ayatollah. Grandi Mura. I used to like that boy, but hey, he's a young man, a boy. I used to like him whenever I met him in Dar es Salaam. He has been a rebel. Tanzania has been a place for rebels. I used to meet him in Dar es Salaam when he was fighting for democracy back home. I'm now shocked that he has made his office, toilet, everything, kitchen. He doesn't move because they can overthrow you. Hey, Africa.
All right. And speaking of Africa, Doctor, your favorite president, Pombe Magufuli, yesterday went to church and he said... Yesterday he went to church and he said there's a sharp decline in the number of coronavirus patients in Tanzania's hospitals. And this is according to President Pombe Magufuli. And this comes 4 days after the U.S. Embassy in the country reported that many hospitals had been overwhelmed. Now, the president also disclosed that his son had contracted the virus, but that he had recovered from treatment. The treatment he said that treated his son was, number one, self-isolation, taking a lemon and ginger mixture, and a steam inhalation. I think, Doctor, the one you keep saying we used to have when we were kids, the steam inhalation, I don't know which one is that. And he added that the child was now well and doing push-ups at home. President Magufuli, I cannot.
Steam inhalation is.
You're covered and then you inhale the medication.
Yeah. You get
so
Vicks
the sun.
Vicks Vapor Up or Olibas oil and put a bed sheet here or a towel
or a blanket.
Put your head inside.
And then you covered and you inhale
steam. 45 minutes.
Hot water. Yeah.
But
doctor.
Yes.
I know the steam inhalation, but now the president's son had contracted the COVID-19, President Magufuli's son, and he's been here trying to dispute all the tests there in Tanzania. Now he's coming out to disclose his son actually contracted COVID-19, but he had a lemon and ginger mixture and the inhalation, steam inhalation as his treatment, and right now he's at home doing push-ups. I don't know. I'm confused because he's been disputing the test there in Tanzania.
Mama, people are not honest. Me, didn't I tell you my daughter was picking those signals? Because in London, she bought her house away from me. She's single, she's 28, very handsome, beautiful like a matanga. But she was going to die in the house. Yes. She's very beautiful. Nora, you are hearing. Is your dad telling you, praising you? Beauty. My baby, 28 years old. So when she told me, Daddy, I'm coughing, I told her, I am in Nairobi. Let's now go video. Make a video. Go and pick that. Go to this. I told her to go and buy my friend Miriam. when he,
So, doctor,
because
you became a quack doctor. You became a complete doctor. What did you tell her to go to the hospital, or you gave her a remedy?
in where in the hospital in London, she never went there.
Okay.
There was nobody giving you a bed in London. This thing, beds are now beginning to show up.
But not even quite. They're still overwhelmed. Yes.
Yeah, the thing caught my daughter at daughter number 6. This is my 6th child, 28 years old, Nora. The only single lady left in, 2 single ladies left in my corral. The other one and the smaller one, the last born 21. The other 3 girls are married. And the sons are also married, produce children. This one,
What treatment?
I told him, Mama, don't cry. Daddy is here. I will make sure. Tears, you didn't notice that 1 month ago, tears were all the time coming every time. Because if I said, what do I do? Do I fly to London now?
Not flights.
They will put me under
Quarantine.
14 days. Then I will not reach my daughter. She will die. So what I did was to heal her, to say, go and buy lemon, go and buy honey. She said that I can't manage. But there is another friend of mine outside here. Luckily enough, each place in London has got a social worker and a community worker, healthy worker. He rang the hospital, the headquarters of those. They came and said, oh, these are signs of the cough. Now, do this exactly what I'm telling you, what Magufuli is saying is true.
So she was not
So
she was not given conventional medicine to help
No.
treat this.
My daughter never received conventional medicine. She's now working. She's gone back to work. Yes. Alikunywa hiyo. She drank a lemon. She drank everything. She drank honey. She did this thing. Put there. Say now.
But was she, doctor?
Don't remove the.
Was she tested for the COVID-19? Did she take a test?
The signs had come.
But did she take a test? An official test
No.
to confirm? Okay, so we
She took
really,
the doctors came and said it is.
it is.
Yes, they took her blood and then they said, isolate yourself.
They
Go
took-
back
they took
home. That's the only thing they did for her was the blood.
The blood, because the COVID-19, they take the swab.
Not the blood, the sample.
The swab, yeah.
They told her it is coming.
Okay.
There were signs. They said to avoid.
It is coming, or it was because we need to. A lot of our viewers right now are watching, and the message we don't want to send out there is: if you suspect you have these signs, please go see a doctor. That might have
Exactly.
worked for doctor's daughter and for what President Magufuli is telling us about his son, but for you
If
out there,
Magufuli has not taken the son, I
Yes.
don't know. Mine had a test.
yes. Now Magufuli said his
Yes.
son tested positive for the virus, but he said he took that. But what we are not here advocating for is when you suspect, because there are cases where the Ministry of Health came out on Saturday and said there are 15 Kenyans who have died in their houses who refused to go seek for treatment. Perhaps they tried that and did not work. So we are not here to encourage you to sit in the house and take lemon and ginger. Please, if you feel you have these symptoms, because you could be having other underlying problems,
Please,
all right?
please,
Go to the hospital. Go get some
Miriam.
proper treatment. Yes.
Miriam.
Yes.
Miriam.
Yes. But that worked for
The people-
doctor's
The
daughter.
people listening to us
Yes.
should not think I've told you sit at home, don't take
And
it.
get alternative treatment or do what Magufuli told us. I
When
can't
the-
trust anything
when
from
the guy-
Magufuli at this point.
When the girl came back home, she needed, how does the disease go? There is no vaccine. You see, most of the people in London have died because there's no treatment.
Yes.
So you have to go home and that's what the doctors were saying. Go and drink liquids, go and drink lemon, go and drink ginger, go and drink sijui nini, honey, water, all this. That, Mama, you haven't heard the stories from there.
Yes.
And that's what the people have been taking in London. There is no injection here. They have put in people.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a problem, is when the thing can persist.
Yes, and underlying existing health problem.
Underlying other symptoms. But if you don't have, that girl did not have any.
Yes.
So when they told her the thing is positive, it is coming because you are working with the crowd. She works in where the other officers are. Very senior officer in one of the ministries in London.
All right.
She had to go back home.
And take care of
and
herself.
then
yes.
She started crying. After that, getting positive, she started crying. I said, don't cry, Nanga. Do this, do that, do that, do that.
And today she's recovered. She's okay.
Mom, she has gone to work.
Praise God.
She's gone to work. Praise God.
Very well. Very
and
well.
You know, this thing here also works.
That is not a thing. That is the Bible.
It's a smaller thing of mine. I'm saying it small. It works. I kept on opening the verses. Now, me, how do I jump there? No plane, everything. Finito. God answered the miracle. Nora, Daddy praises you. She's cured now.
That's good.
But truly speaking, there is no vaccination, there is no medicine. The people coming out of these hospitals experience that you are getting from COVID, people who have healed, they are saying most of the time they drank some of those things.
All right.
And then those who have, if you have an ailment already, is when they concentrate on that to make your immune system.
To boost your immune
Fruits,
system.
vitamins.
Yes.
Give you immune system. And that is the end.
Yes.
You can get yourself better.
Yes. But still we insist,
but don't
go to the doctor if you
don't refuse to test.
If you have symptoms. We're not encouraging self-treatment in the house because there were reports from the Ministry of Health. So if you feel you have the symptoms and you feel you're having some troubles with your breathing, please take yourself to a medical facility, get tested, and just let the doctors tell you, advise you from there on, okay? So we are not encouraging any self-treatment at home. That is very dangerous. Go on and seek professional medical care out there, all right, Kenyans, because reports indicate people are afraid to go to the hospitals for whatever reason. You shouldn't be afraid, because when you go to the hospitals, that's where you're going to get the help that you need that might save your life and the life of your loved ones, all right? But with President Magufuli, who has been fighting, all the reports by the Ministry of Health, even going to an extent of firing the Deputy Minister of Health there and the head of the research there in Tanzania. And now he's coming out and saying, you know what, my son actually tested positive for coronavirus and is now okay. And I thank God his son did very well, he's recovered. I don't know what, I'm confused with President Magufuli. The same people he's disputing the testing from, the same facilities tested his son and who tested positive. So what is the fight he's been having with the testing of COVID-19 cases in the country? Yet he has suffered firsthand. And yesterday he was in church, there was no social distancing, there was no masks being worn in those churches. President Magufuli continues to be very careless. I really thank President Uhuru Kenyatta, the President of Kenya, for closing that border between Kenya and Tanzania, because clearly our lives would have continued to be put at risk because of the attitude of President Magufuli there. All right, Doctor.
Now, I just want to tell you something which I want you to listen to. Magufuli is like a Nyerere. When people said Ujamaa villages are killing people of poverty, he said, were people born with riches? Were they born with riches? Is there a brother called Rich?
But
So
Ujamaa and COVID-19 is totally different, Doctor. COVID-19 is a matter of life and death.
I'm now telling you.
Yes, the attitude. Yes.
Comparative study of Tanzanian presidents.
Yes. When they believe in something, they just run with it.
They don't go away.
Okay. All right.
They don't go away.
Yes.
When the whole of Africa refused to recognize Biafra, Tanzania was the first country to recognize Biafra, and they gave an embassy in Dar es Salaam, followed by Obote, followed by Kaunda, followed by Emperor Haile Selassie. AU fall to pieces. Umeona? These guys in Tanzania, when they are determined on their thing, they are like a Mugabe. That's it.
All
You
right.
tell Mugabe that this, he says, so what? Zimbabwe is my country.
Yes.
Let them have their colony, I have mine.
We have Zimbabwe.
They are small England.
And he kept saying, I'll keep my Zimbabwe, you can keep your Britain. And all right, so quickly we move to South Sudan, where now United States has called on South Sudan and Sudan not to overlook the challenges facing the people of Abyei, particularly its fragile security. It says as both South Sudan and Sudan respond to the coronavirus and engage in their political transitions, the people of Abyei must not be forgotten. In a statement addressed to the United Nations Security Council, the U.S. government stated that resolving the Abyei status is critical to supporting long-term peace efforts in both South Sudan and the border. So we've seen, Doctor, the attacks that have been happening in the Abyei region, and South Sudan and Sudan forces there seems to have been having some, misunderstandings there that now has left around 50 people, dead since between January and April. So, are the two countries overlooking the dangers of Abyei? And I understand Abyei is the oil-rich, place there that are claimed by both countries. Are we ever going to find a resolve for this matter moving forward? And how can South Sudan and Sudan work together for the good of both countries, benefiting together and also, maintaining peace and security in those areas, in that area? I know. I'm just trying to be optimistic here.
You know what?
Cautiously.
Miriam,
Yes.
you know these countries in the world bring us more problems than joy. We have no joy. How do you tell Sudan and South Sudan to work together? How? They work how? On Abyei. Who is looking for oil now?
Abyei.
Who is looking for the oil? United States of America, isn't it? The deepest well of oil in Africa is where? Abyei. So they have rushed quickly. They are there. They want to send mercenaries even to guard the place. So Sudan is already in chaos. The other one is already on cliffhanger politics.
But
This one is near the grave.
it's near the grave.
So you tell them to work together and do what?
Let me tell you, South Sudan has done very well in bringing peace in Sudan, bringing Prime Minister Hamdok and the rebels and finding and mediating. South Sudan has been doing an excellent job in Sudan.
Are you trying my patience?
I know, because yeah. So South Sudan has found a solution for Sudan. So, but it just can't find a solution for itself. Yeah, that is the part. It's just I can't understand. But South Sudan has done very well in reconciling the warring parties in Sudan. Can you believe that?
Okay. Thank you very much. I believe that.
Yes, it has gone down on records that South Sudan has been mediating the peace between Sudan and the warring fractions there. And in Juba, the same Juba that Machar could not even return, yeah, oxymoronic. I've never understood, but yeah. So the better they can find a solution for that, I think the best for that region and all of us here, because people in Abyei have been really suffering, the women and children and the rapings and all the bad things that have been happening around that area, things that are a great concern to the region and indeed to the international world. So Doctor, thank you very much. I think before I finish, just quickly, Nigerian President Buhari on Saturday received the country's share of the coronavirus herbal cure, the COVID-19 from Madagascar. The made in Madagascar cure was delivered to Buhari by Guinea-Bissau President Umaru Sissoco Embalo, the new president, who was in Abuja on official visit. Buhari subsequently ordered that the consignment be sent to the necessary look. So Mr. Embalo was very kind to bring part of the consignment that he was given by Madagascan president as a gift. So he takes this medication to who? President Buhari. President Buhari, after receiving this consignment, he takes it straight to the laboratory to be tested. He has no faith. And President Embalo came all the way from Guinea-Bissau to gift President Buhari with COVID organics, and President Buhari took it straight to the laboratory to be tested before a decision on administering the herbal remedy takes effect in Nigeria.
The planes were flying.
Yes.
3 of my friends who got the liquid from the Yummy liquid from across Madagascar were telling me they will bring it here for me. For people of Kenya, I'm told it is yummy. It helps. It is sour though. It is very sour. But you drink it 3 days, you will start stretching your legs. The cough will go. That's what I'm told.
All right. Okay. So thank you so much. That marks the end of the diplomatic leaks and then diaspora dispatches altogether.
You have not mentioned the first one.
The first one?
Marks the end of daytime express,
yes,
diplomatic leaks,
yes, and diaspora dispatches.
The question of the frontline security, we do it tomorrow at 11.
Oh, very well. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yes.
To avoid this traffic nightmare, we shall our new program of frontline security, global security. We are testing new programs, global security, how COVID-19 has affected the global security. Are people sleeping on the job? Tomorrow, frontline security. Or Punchline, Africa Television. If you are an expert and you want to join us to analyze the global security, we shall be here to hammer you with questions. And that's it, isn't it? Things work that way. Global security on COVID-19. Meanwhile, I'll look for the expert, one of the security experts who also knows something to do with COVID-19 to be talking to us tomorrow.
Okay.
So that's why I've been advised production team, shelf the program until tomorrow, when I will get one expert to join us by phone or by Zoom. We might have Zoom of four parts, isn't it? Tomorrow. We divide Miriam, myself, him, the other two. That is what we are going to do. And then put on the satellite. God bless you. Tomorrow, let's do that show tomorrow, not 2 p.m. We don't have time. We are tired.
Fatigue evaluation. All right. We'll see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. East
Oh,
African
you
time.
are? Oh, then you can do it.
9
I did
a.m.
not want you to be caught up in the traffic snarl that has returned to Nairobi. So.
Oh yeah, everybody is back to work, and the traffic is from 3:30. It's crazy. It's really a big build up on the major roads here in the city. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. This station, therefore, is for Africa, with Africa, by Africa. Child. I saw.
Peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.